is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of A24, the podcast that takes a look at the A24 library 24 minutes at a time. I'm Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ashley Hutchins.
This week on the pod, we are revealing our true selves as we talk about episodes 2 through 5 of The Idol. Ashley, you're not Ben, and I'm sure listeners are just going crazy right now, don't know what's going on. You are Ben's partner, and give a little background as to why you're on the pod, because I feel like people should know the backstory.
Okay, the backstory is that Ben hated the first episode so much that he was like, I cannot stomach watching the rest of the show. And I didn't feel as strongly. I didn't think it was great, but I was like, I'm curious. I was on the hook to see where this was going to go. So I volunteered to see it through, to watch the rest of the series and take his place, step in.
So kind of you. I mean, that's a true partner play, quite honestly. Yeah. And we all knew that Ben hated the first episode. I think Ben and I were both very, very cold on the first episode. So we have covered episode number 1 of The Idol here on the show. It was just about 4 or 5 weeks ago. You can go check out that episode of the pod. If you're interested in our breakdown of the very first episode, we're going to be covering episodes 2 through 5, which is like the rest of the first season here on this episode of the show. I'll just read the tagline for The Idol real quick in case you're new to the pod or new to The Idol. Jocelyn is desperate to reclaim her rightful title as the greatest and sexiest pop diva in America after a nervous breakdown disrupted her most recent tour after Tedros, a notorious nightclub entrepreneur, reignites her passions. Spoiler warning ahead for episodes 2 through 5 of The Idol. We're totally going to spoil the whole first season and get into every single episode, just like we did for the first. I got to ask you, Ashley, you said you were hooked after the first episode. What did you think of the first episode? Because you weren't on for that. And then generally, like, what did you think of episodes 2 through 5 before we get into specifics? Okay,
well, my take on the thing is it's not good. It's not good. It feels to me like junk food, where...
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Like the KFC Double Down. It's just like egregious, too much, not necessary, but there's still something about it that's just like, I want to check this out.
I'm very interested.
What is this about? Yeah. I do think it would have been better as a movie. I think...
interesting. Okay.
I think that... Yeah, the story, the setup lends itself better to a movie rather than splitting it up into 5 episodes or the 6 that it originally was supposed to have, right?
Yeah, so I was going to ask about this. So apparently it was supposed to have 6 initial episodes. People came out that worked on the show and were like, no, it never was going to have 6 ever. I edited it, I helped produce it, like whatever. It's only ever had 5, but I'm pretty positive it was supposed to have a 6 because this ending fucking sucked. We'll get into it. It was not for me, but I like your movie take. I think that could be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would have been better that way.
Yeah. So this show features The Weeknd as Tedros, Lily Rose Depp as Jocelyn. Susanna Sun is introduced in episode 2, which I thought was just a wonderful part of this show.
Love her.
I would have killed for more Susanna Sun time. She is in Red Rocket of the A24 family. Troye Sivan as Xander, and then Rachel Sennett. We stand for Rachel Sennett on this pod. Rachel Sennett fan?
Huge. Yeah. She's the
best. Love to see him. She is the best. She's great. I wish she had more time in this show, but I'm sure we'll get into kind of all of it. So you mentioned it might have been better as a movie, and I tend to agree with you. I think 5 episodes, I think, was extremely stretching, like the story. I think as I watched like 2 through 5, and I watched episode 2 last night, and then I watched 3, 4, and 5 today while I was like at work, quote unquote, not working, definitely watching The Idol. I am going to be honest with you, wasn't in the greatest mood after I spent 3 hours of my day while watching The Idol. And like, I think like big picture, and I'm trying to justify, I guess I'm just like thinking big picture. I feel like there was something there. Like, I think there was an interesting idea with Tedros and his cult and like trying to use people and pimp Jocelyn out and like get to the top and climb the ladder by being very deceptive and devious and dirty. I think that's interesting.
Right.
I don't think it was executed well whatsoever.
No, not at all. I think you're absolutely correct. The dynamics and the power play and the switching back and forth, like that is what's interesting. But I'm so curious to see what the show would have been had Sam Levinson not ever been involved.
Right.
And also like told for more of like, I think the original director was a woman. And so I think the way that it ended up, I'd be curious to see how that story unfolded at the hands of a woman.
I totally agree.
Yeah, there's something that's sort of creepy about Sam Levinson, and we've all like read about the rumors of how he is on set and Barbie Ferreira leaving Euphoria, and it's just like there's something exploitative or seedy going on underneath the surface there that I think translated into the show. The
original director, Amy Seimetz, I guess, was supposed to direct the show. It was originally supposed to be 6 episodes. Sam Levinson came in April 2022. Basically when, I don't know, either HBO or somebody made a creative decision to switch, and then cut it from 6 episodes to 5 episodes. I did see very interesting, like I don't know if they're like behind the scenes photos or like leaked photos or whatever of like some of the original ideas that were taking place in the original, like, directorial idea of The Idol, and a lot of that was like Jocelyn as a younger self hanging out with like her high school friends and like understanding how she became a pop star. And I guess I'm leading with this because the biggest problem for me with this show, and I think like overall I did not like this show whatsoever. I think exceptionally few things work, but my biggest problem with the show is we are supposed to believe that Jocelyn is like the biggest pop star in the universe, like the biggest pop star in the world, right? She is a star, and she is trying to sell out a global tour with stadiums around the world and having problems and all of these things. Not for a single second. I mean, I guess a few seconds we understand like, oh yeah, she sang a song at a mall one time and that's how like Haim discovered her. Outside of that, we have no fucking clue why she is a star, why she is in the music industry, and like very base level storytelling. Like, I just don't give a shit because I don't know the background. So why am I supposed to care about Jocelyn? Right. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't resonate with me.
Agreed. Yeah, there's no backstory. They do kind of give glimpses into it with her history with Xander, and I assume, I guess, Leia.
I guess.
We don't really see why she's special. And maybe it's because she's not yet. There are a couple of moments where she says like she wants to be a once in a generation artist. She wants to be her music to live on once
Songbird
she's
of her
dead.
generation, stepbrother style. Yeah.
Exactly. And so maybe she's not there yet. Maybe she was just sort of like these, bubblegum sort of mall, what's it, Lou Pearlman type pop star of her day, just like a dime a dozen. So maybe she's not that special yet, and maybe that's what she was working on in the series.
Yeah, I think there's when you get to the finale, and we'll obviously break it down. We're going to break down each episode and kind of go through True Cinema. It's not going to take forever, so don't worry. But like, I think when we get to the final episode, there are definitely like morsels of, I could see what Sam Levinson was going for in terms of like, the music industry is corrupt and it is like this terrible cycle of Hollywood. And like, I understand that commentary, and that's been played out hundreds of times on screen. Like, I think my issue is Sam Levinson thinks he's like very novel in this idea of like Hollywood is big and bad and it's a cycle. And I just wanted to prove that point. It's like, I know, dude, I get it. Every single fucking movie or TV show tries to do this. I get it. And like, it's not done well. I think, again, like another really big criticism that I have, Euphoria works because Zendaya takes it to another level. It works because she has something special, I think, and we have lots of pieces that make that very special. From a directorial standpoint, even of like director of photography and editing, like when we get to the final episode and Jocelyn is walking from backstage onto the stage, 70,000 people arena, there was a great opportunity there to do a really cool like one-er or a really cool one-shot long take of her walking through the tunnels and going up and being elevated and like really immersing ourselves in what that feels like to be Jocelyn in that moment, because she strived for that for so long. She has wanted that. And we're just getting cut left and right and taken around and outside and like from the audience point of view, from her point of view, from like backstage, and it was just so disorienting. And I think the show is genuinely really disorienting at times when we have very important conversations between characters.
Yes.
I don't know what time they're happening. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they're in real time, if it's happened in the past. I don't know. And I'm pretty studious when it comes to watching things. Like, I'm not a dummy and I just don't get it. So I don't know.
No, I agree. I agree 1,000%. Like I watched it twice. I watched all of it on Monday, and then I watched some of it again today after, watching the finale. It's like, all right, I got to rewatch a few of these scenes.
Yes.
But yeah, they do jump around a lot. It's inconsistent. It's hard to orient yourself with where they are and where the story is.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just think, look, it's been said before by others on social media and by us on the pod, and like I'm sure you share a similar sentiment of like Sam Levinson is just probably not all he's cracked up to be. He's definitely like problematic. He is just, I just don't think he's a very good filmmaker, honestly. And I think he's just miss after miss. I do think it's fascinating that A24 wanted to be part of this project. I do think that HBO in general thought they had something special. And really edgy. And of course, that is in A24's bones to be like, let's pick something that's outside of the norm and something really maybe disturbing or different or edgy. So I can understand that. And I think it's very interesting. Most of their TV shows and all movies open with their logo first. And this one comes at the very, very end. And it's the last logo that you see. So
interesting.
I think that's a little fascinating as well, possibly trying to distance themselves from the business decision they made. But look, you can't win them all for A24. What did you think of The Weeknd's performance as an actor, Ashley?
For me, it was probably the weakest of. That's what they should call him, the weakest.
The weakest.
It was.
You got a name change.
It was not great. And that's what's wild is like I couldn't figure out if this was like a vehicle to launch him as an actor or to launch Lily Rose Depp. And regardless, whatever the agenda or the goal was, I think they both failed. Like the whole time, it's just like he is not Tedros. That is The Weeknd, and that is Johnny Depp's daughter, like the entire time, which is unfortunate.
I totally agree with you, and I think as even starting in episode 2, but like as you progress through the show, you're just like, oh, did they just it felt like to me like it was a really big kind of like long con of like, this is just promo for The Weeknd's new album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were just getting like new singles in every episode, and they were like needle drops for like sex scenes. And I was just like, so this is just about music. Like this is literally just about The Weeknd making music. I will stand up and say like, the reason The Weeknd works in Uncut Gems is because he is The Weeknd. That's literally his fucking role. He plays himself. The reason he doesn't work in this is because he's trying to play some really shitty, weird rat tail dude from Hawaii, possibly, or the Midwest, apparently, according to Sam Levinson and one of the behind the scenes things, which like I saw that and I was just like, didn't know that. And now that I've finished the series, I'm glad that you filled me in. He's from the Midwest. So lots of missing information. He honestly he's a bad actor. He's just not good. The way he says like carte blanche and like and I think it's episode 2, and we'll talk about it. Maybe we should start jumping into that. But like,
let's get into it.
The way that he's like, let me stick my fat tongue on your pussy is so disgusting and weird.
So
and like, It's just terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. The very last thing that I will say before we jump into True Cinema and do each episode, we've got just like a small handful for each episode. I would, as soon as I finish this, I was like, okay, I'm interested in the Chloe character, Susanna's son. I'm interested in Leia.
Yes.
I'm interested in Xander. Like I'm interested in Destiny. Thank you. Yes. Like she rules. She was great. I'm interested in Haim and Nikki, and like I'm thoroughly interested in everything going on around our main characters.
Yeah.
That is not the story. I would much rather watch 5 episodes of Nikki like trying to run magistrate records and like signing people and having corporate drama and like having drama with Haim and Destiny and all of these people and Finkelstein, and like that would make the show a billion times better if we were just like, let's get a music corporate industry drama with Nikki. Like I think that sounds great to me. Is there anything that you would like pluck out of this and pull to make like another show or like a side show or something that you would rather be invested in?
No, the supporting cast is 1,000% like the stars of the show. I don't understand why Dan Levy was in just the first episode.
Where did he go? I don't know.
What was that about? I don't know. I would watch that whole show about Magistrate. I would love a spinoff with Nikki and Isaac with a Z.
Isaac with a Z? Okay, Nikki with 2 Ks?
Yeah, I'll watch that all day.
Yes.
But Destiny was incredible. I loved her. I wanted to know everything about her. Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, I heavily agree with you. I wanted to get more of the things that like the show was not even about. I think my one Destiny call out is like when her and Haim are like kind of in the car, and Haim asks for the gun and like pretends to be Jocelyn, and she opens that scene in that conversation with like, this bitch is brain dead, and I just thought it was so funny. That scene in particular, good. I loved that scene. That one, I was like, this is great, and then we jumped out of that, and it lost everything for me. So let's start talking. Episode 2, titled Double Fantasy. We get a remix of World Class Sinner with Tedros. This is like the first time they work together, and the whole idea is like Tedros is like, that's just one night working with me, and it's like, I don't even know if it's good. Did you think it was good?
I'm gonna tell you, I think it's the best song of the world. Like this world, not the world at large, but the world of the Idol. World Class Sinner is, I think, my favorite song. I listened to it on a walk today, and I was like, okay,
let's go.
I don't know if I like how much I like this.
It's a little off-putting, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the other songs, like, they try to, like, inject too much, like, Lana Del Rey into it. Yeah. It was just, like, I think that's, like, my issue with the whole thing is, like, they tried to do... like Lana Del Rey meets The Weeknd, or Showgirls meets, and like they didn't do it their own thing. They just tried to like borrow from so many other things, and it's just like it didn't feel right. It didn't. Work
and like
for me.
Yeah, it didn't work for me either. I think a highlight musically for me was Chloe. I think like her my family song was really good, and then her Crocodile song. Talking to Destiny. We'll get into that as well, but I thought that was pretty good.
The worst, I think, was The Weeknd covering John Lennon.
So bad.
So bad. So bad.
And I just like, it was like every time there was a needle drop for like the Weeknd song, I was like, oh my God, this is A, just a promo for his music, but B, like, this 6 seconds I've been listening to his music is better than this entire episode. Like, no, like on God, no lie. Like, it's just better. We find out that it costs $450K a day for the music video shoot. Jocelyn's in tears, calling out for her dead mom. She has bloody feet, ends up getting taken home. That entire scene is interesting. It's so disjointed and like just really scattered and all over the place. And I think the really harsh editing technique is really detracting from the meaningfulness of Joss's emotions and like what she's going through. I didn't know it cost so much per day to rent out a studio and do a music video. So that's interesting. $500,000. Cool $500,000.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of money. Tedros using a shot collar on Isaac.
Okay.
What did you think? Because this is the first time we see the shot collar.
I didn't know what to. It was
speechless.
It was speechless. Like, I remember watching the first episode and Ben being like, I think he's supposed to be a leader of a cult. And I was like, are we supposed to know that? And so that was sort of our first sort of experience with that. And I didn't see it. Like, I didn't understand why these people would participate in that, because again, he doesn't have that quality of like he doesn't seem to have the power or that magnetism to like draw people in that way and to like participate in that kind of torture. It was bizarre.
So I'm curious, like, what are these people? What are like Isaac and Chloe, what are they getting out of this relationship with Tedros? Because he claims to be connected and like claims to, know all of these people and like all of this kind of stuff. Obviously he knows Mike Dean, very famous producer, I would assume, based on the show. But like, it never materializes, right? So like, what is that power that Tedros has? Because I just don't really see it either. It strains credulity a little much for me.
I agree. And Chloe goes into it a little bit with Destiny and talks about how she was kind of living on the street. Right. She was a heroin addict. And so it's like, is there more drugs involved than his fentanyl-free cocaine? Like, what? How are these people? How are these people so just like, I don't know, at his disposal? It didn't make sense. I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't either. Okay, so like I said, the shot collar, he basically tells Isaac, you're not human, you're a star, which like, again, is just like a really fucking weird thing that he says to people and says to Jocelyn and other things. And is like kind of his cult mantra. But again, like, we don't really know he's in a cult, and it's never specified and it's never talked about. Like, lack of information is just glaring in this show.
Right.
This is the very interesting part of episode 2. Basically, a 10-minute fuck fest of like Tedros and Jocelyn. And whatever you think of that, that's fine. And like, if you liked it, you liked it. And if not, like, it was very borderline, even for HBO. It's very strange and awkward and like softcore porn. But what I found so fascinating is that we do that for like 8 or 9 or 10 minutes, it feels like. And then at the very end of that, we see Isaac fucking Leia for literally 3 seconds. And that's it. And then it just goes away. And in that 3 seconds, I was like, that looks way hotter than everything I just watched with Tedros and Joss. And I was like, I'm much more interested in that bedroom scene than I am the one I just got. What did you think?
Isaac is like the hottest man. Like,
dude.
He is not a human. He is a star. He is right. Tedros is right. He is a fucking star, literally. Yeah, give me more of that. I don't like. Yeah, no thank you to Tedros and Jocelyn. No, let's get some more Leia.
Yeah, give us more Leia. God, justice Leia. For Leia. Justice for, like, sex screen time for Leia, please.
Yeah, the Weeknd just doesn't have that charisma that Isaac does. Or the body.
Isaac's not even, like, on screen that much. And it's like, wow, I'd much rather be with this guy than somebody. And, like, I think that Rachel Sennett is far more attractive than Lily Rose Depp. And so, like, from a pure, like, that standpoint, it's far more intriguing to me.
Right.
Because, like, I just don't. You can only see Lily Rose Depp's nipples so many times before you're like, I've seen them. Yep, they're there. I got it. Like, you know what I mean? 100%. I don't know, man.
She doesn't wear a normal shirt the entire series.
Ever. And I was like, she wakes up almost every day naked. And I was like, look, if you go to bed naked, that's great for you. Could not. Like, that just is so weird to me. It just doesn't seem realistic.
No, it does not track.
And then My Family, the piano song at the very ending.
Okay.
This is my true cinema moment for episode 2. I think at the very end of all this, maybe we can just pick one true cinema moment for the entire like season, I think is the better way to cover it.
Okay.
But Susanna Sun is a great singer, and I literally just want to watch a show with her singing. I need that. I think that would be far more interesting.
Yes, she has a beautiful voice, and I don't know if you watched any of like the BTS scenes after the episode. It was hit and miss for me, but she wrote that Crocodile song.
Crazy.
So she's not just a good singer; she's also an incredible songwriter. So it's just like, again, Tedros is right. She is also a fucking star.
So maybe Tedros does have something like he can find stars, but then he just can't do anything with them. Okay, episode 3, Daybreak. Again, we just really open up with quite a vibe here. Tedros going down on Jocelyn while Leia is driving.
Yes.
I don't look. You know, everybody's sexual life is their own, and like that's rad if you can do that. Seems incredibly logistically complicated, and I felt so bad for Leia, who was just getting shouted out by Tedros, where it's just like, lay off the brakes. You're making the vibe a little bumpy back here, and it's just like, shut the fuck up, dude. She's driving you.
It's just so weird.
Calm down.
I mean, I have a convertible, and granted, it's the opposite of their car. It's a 1990 Volkswagen Cabriolet. That's not happening in the backseat of that thing. Logistically impossible.
It's just never going to happen. It's just like, I just don't like, there's, again, the Sam Levinson angle of things, like their sexual connection. I guess I can strain to understand, like, okay, it's very appealing for Jocelyn and like opens up this dark kind of like, you know, sinner vibe in herself. But like, it's just overkill. It's just so overkill. And I think like that's one of the very big lacking points of the show, is that it has no ability to be self-aware of how much like nipple we're showing, or like how many times we need to see Tedros doing sexual acts. Like, it's just not appealing to me.
No, not at all.
Good.
And they do it in public so often that it's
so strange.
It's assaulting to everyone around. It
is.
Yeah.
I mean, we will talk about it. I think it's in the next episode, but like, exceptionally uncomfortable when everybody's watching Jocelyn record and he's like, pretty much finger banging her like while it's going on, and like it's so strange, and I was uncomfortable. I can put up with a lot in TV shows. I was uncomfortable.
Cross the line.
My question again, I asked it at the top of the episode. If Jocelyn is this popular, they pull up to like a Louis Vuitton store. She's got people that are like chanting her name, that want pictures. She has to like work her way through the crowd. They're crowding the car. If she's this popular, why the fuck is she not selling concert tickets? Am I missing something?
No. I mean, you're right, because here's the thing. Even when a famous person of that magnitude goes through a public meltdown, unfortunately, people want to see the train wreck. So that wasn't a problem for Britney Spears. It wasn't a problem for Kanye West for a long time. Yep. It just, it doesn't track. That's one of the, it's a plot hole there for sure. But it also makes me wonder if, like, we see, like, the scene where Isaac's being shocked, there are like these marionette like puppets. And so it makes me wonder if this is sort of a tactic that Tedros is using, if he's called them himself. Like, what he seems to be pulling the strings in a lot of ways here, but it's like, is this one of them? And if it is, why didn't they illustrate that?
Yeah, I do remember. I remember like very briefly hearing like Tedros called the paparazzis by himself.
Right.
I think there's a lot of those things that warrant and deserve far more attention than like the one sentence that we were given, because they are exceptionally important to the plot. And you would think a show about Jocelyn trying to stay famous would focus on those plots. I think that would be rather important. Apparently not. Look, I've never written a TV show, so what the fuck do I know? But that's all I'm saying. Tedros slaps Andreas and Joss fires him. This is like really the first time where we're just like, come on, Jocelyn, like you gotta figure this out. This dude's no good. Is Andreas really, like, is his family really gastrointestinal doctors? Did you buy that? Or was that just like a really good, quick-witted excuse on the fly?
I don't know. Even if it is true, it's like, how much of that like knowledge do you absorb? It's just what do they do? Just like take some probiotics? Like, I don't know. Like, how much do you sit around and just talk about like your digestive system?
Yeah. Look, Tedros had a point. Tedros is like, it's not you. You're not the doctor. Get the fuck, get away, which is pretty funny. Tedros and Joss fuck in the changing room, and then Tedros masturbates in the changing room. Just really fucking gratuitous and like not needed whatsoever. Like literally doesn't add anything to the show, and we spend like multiple minutes on it. What did you think?
Okay, so for me, this fuckfest was a turning point because
fascinating.
It showed that Jocelyn still is maintaining her power when she's like, don't come in me. Don't come in me.
Yes.
And then he was like totally ready to like ignore that. And so she was just like, I'll resolve this situation. We're done. And so I kind of like, I feel like that's this episode 3 is where we kind of start to see where Jocelyn has not totally relinquished her power. Like she's still maintaining and holding on and even leveraging it in some ways. So, I mean, I think I picked up on that on the second watch after the finale. But again, it's still gratuitous. And still, he didn't need to masturbate the way that he did. Like, he was banging shit around, like, the clothing rack. It's just like, make this a quiet time, dude. Like, take care of yourself.
This is your time.
Yeah. Don't make it worse than it needs to be.
And I'm pretty sure, like, he wiped his hands on some of the clothes. Like, I don't want to know, but, like, I guess, like, I guess you could argue for the fact that, like, it does solidify the fact that Tedros is just, like, fucking scum. Like, I don't really know what else you're supposed to get out of that. Last one for episode 3, the dinner table scene. So forcing Joss to talk about her mom, relive her trauma. Incredibly awkward. This is really the moment where this underbaked trope of like we're a family kind of like comes into play. I think this is probably the strongest example of that, and like Tedros thinking that he does have that power over Joss. And again, like the finale where we see Jocelyn basically be like, I played him, like I knew what I was doing the whole time. Right. I never bought that, and we can continue to discuss that as we go through. It took you a second watch to kind of buy into that as well. I just like, this scene was hard to watch and really upsetting, especially when like Isaac takes Leia away and like Jocelyn is very singled out. And it felt very much like Tedros is just a really, really insensitive person. He just like doesn't know any boundaries. Right.
He doesn't know any boundaries. And then I think it's weird. I think Eli Roth references the Nexium cult in a later episode, but it did feel very much like that, where he's trying to break her down. He's trying to get her at like her lowest point so that he can then build her up the way that he wants her. He can mold her. So I think that's what he's doing in this scene. I don't know if it's effective or not. Like, it's like you said, like we're sort of like told to believe that she was in control and manipulating him this whole time. But I agree with you where it's just like, I don't know that I buy that. I think she kind of like, it was a little more fluid. It wasn't calculated and things sort of happened and she kind of used them to her advantage as they occurred. But it wasn't calculated. I don't think she told this story or, shared this trauma with that intention.
No, and I feel like the entire show is built around the fact that like everybody is gaslighting Jocelyn. Like she is just not like coherent in that aspect. Like she's just not smart enough. And so like for us to get to the very end and like the behind the scenes where Lily Rose Depp is like, Jocelyn knew the entire time, she's so cold and calculated. And I was just like, I did not fucking get that at all. Like,
No.
that is not what I picked up on in this character.
Uh-uh.
She's exceptionally fluid and susceptible to heavy emotional states of being. And maybe she found a way to utilize those, but like,
Right.
it was not calculated like whatsoever.
Yeah.
Not in my opinion. Anything else for episode 3 that you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. When does Xander wear the shot collar? Is that in 4?
Yes, I think that
Okay.
is in 4. That's a good question. I don't know if I wrote that on the notes, but I definitely wrote it down in my other notes. But Xander does wear a shot collar at some point in time.
Yeah, I think it is sometime between 3 and 4. That is a scene
It is episode 4. It is episode
Okay.
4. Yeah. It's crazy. Do you want to wait to get into that? Or you want to lead off with
Sure.
that?
No, let's start off. Let's
Okay.
summarize.
Episode 4, Stars Belong to the World. Again, playing on that idea of like everybody hears a star. Mike Dean setting up shop. Dude just comes out blazing and goes through the whole house to find acoustics, which I thought was hilarious.
Totally. Have you ever
Crazy.
seen anyone smoke out of a bong and a blunt, like double fisting like that? Like,
It was ridiculous.
What? Again, double down.
Double down for real. Like, when you think this show can't get worse, you're just like, oh, they figured it out. They did it. they brought him in, and like, I get it. He's the producer and like fits in this world, and like I can understand his point. But like when you get to episode 6 and he's just like talking shit about like they don't do shows like this down in Texas, maybe in Atlanta, you're just like, what the fuck? Like, who wrote this? Who wrote this script? Like, did he pay somebody to like give me a line in the finale? I just don't get it.
My favorite part is when he just pulls out a saxophone out of nowhere. It's just like,
That was so funny. Oh my God. That was so
good.
funny. I just don't get it.
Like, how does Tedros know him? Where is that connection? Like, just the club? Like, how the fuck does he have like the pull to just call up this dude and it's just like, hey, you got 2 weeks? Like, come on
and
over.
like Mike Dean just drops his whole fucking schedule and just like, yeah, let me set up shop in Jocelyn. Like, there's that disconnect again. Like, if Jocelyn really is the biggest pop star in the world, I get it. Like, okay, cool. He'd be chomping at the bit to work with Jocelyn. I get that. At no point in time is that conveyed. I do not understand. Like, I totally did not, feel like that was the point. Chloe playing for Destiny in the pool area, getting tips about her vocals.
Love that scene.
This was lovely. This was so heartfelt and it was wonderful. And you're just like, Destiny knows her shit. Chloe's going to be a superstar. Like, that was incredible. And it was in the pool room, which, 10 minutes later, Mike Dean walked into and was like, this is great house. The acoustics are shit. And like walks out of the pool room. And it's like, maybe you're just bad at your job. Like, I don't know. I loved the scene though.
So good. So good. And I know we talked about like the cinematography a little bit, but I do love, like, there are some shots, like the reflection of her in the pool. Like, there are some scenes where like it is beautiful.
Yes.
And that was one of them. That was one of the few.
Yeah, and Ben and I talked about on our review of episode 1, this is the Weeknd's real house. And it's like, oh yeah, that's a pretty nice house. Like, I give you credit for that. You got a pretty nice place. And I guess maybe my expectations were too high. They definitely weren't, but like, I just feel like, if you have a beautiful location like that to shoot in, you got to make some really, really alluring shots. And like, we just got them way too few and far between. Tedros doing S&M stuff while Joss is recording. This is really, again, like we briefly touched on it, exceptionally assaulting to everybody watching it, including us, the audience members. Yeah. And super weird. I don't get why we're doing it. Like, she can't even sing. It's bad. Like, the singing quality is poor. And this is hilarious because this is about the time when Destiny really inserts herself in this world and is like doing recon and is like, hi, don't fucking text me. I don't want a paper trail. Call me if you need me. She's like, bet on God, I got this thing locked down. And I was like, you're it. Like, I just want a whole season of her.
She's the best. She is truly the best. Like, honestly, when she infiltrates and just sort of like assimilates into this like environment, she's the missing ingredient. Yeah.
She is. She's so funny. She's great. Again, really just unnecessary stuff. And like, I just don't understand. I guess when you're looking at a script like this and you're Lily Rose Depp or The Weeknd or anybody else, I don't know how you like read that and take that and you're like, this is a great idea, or like, this is really pivotal to the character development. Like, I just don't see that as necessary.
I have to assume that it was just like Sam Levinson coming off the heels of Euphoria, where they were just like, oh, this dude is like made this smash hit. Yeah, I'll do whatever he says. I don't know. Maybe
Sam Levinson's the real Tedros.
Oh my God.
Got Hollywood by the balls, just letting him make whatever he wants to make.
Oh my God. That is spot on.
Maybe we're getting like a semi-autobiographical pick in this one here. The Idol, the Sam Levinson story.
Oh my God.
Okay, so I don't want to think about Sam Levinson acting in any of these scenes. Yikes. Oh, that's nightmare material. Okay, then we get the public outing about Jocelyn. Her mom, she goes on Instagram Live. She's got all of her friends watching her. Okay. And she's like, I have such a traumatic past and I'm not going to let it define the future me, who I want to be. And this was Tedros's idea. Like, you need to come out, you need to own it. It felt very manipulative. And again, like in this moment, does not feel like Jocelyn is being calculated and is like, okay, if I do this, then I can get where I want to go. It entirely feels like Tedros is completely guiding her.
This is what I want to talk about, is this abuse story. And is it true? The scenes with the hairbrush and like the way, I don't want to jump to the finale.
Go ahead.
But I mean, you know, they allude to the fact that like, wait, is that the same hairbrush? It looks brand new. Yeah. Like, I don't think we.
And again, I will just hold on to your thought, because it's an exceptionally Euphoria type ending. Season 2 ended in the same manner, where all we get from like Rue and her partner is like a smile, and you're just like, what the fuck does that mean? And it's like Sam Levinson thinks he's being smart by like leading us to believe whatever we want to believe, but like it just doesn't work, in my opinion. It totally fell flat.
Well, I mean, the hairbrush, like they burn the hairbrush and then it pops back up later in the episode. And then the scene where Xander is wearing the shock collar and Tedros tells Jocelyn, you tell me when he's lying. And so Xander is saying all these things and Jocelyn is like, he's lying. You're full of shit. Why are you lying straight to my face? And he gets to this point and he gets so upset and he's like, you are worse than your mom, you lying manipulative, and so it makes me wonder, like, is she, like, that scene like makes me feel like, okay, what the fuck is she playing here?
Yeah.
Because I do think there was probably some sort of abusive history, but did she exaggerate it? Like, because it does seem like from Xander's point of view that she is in control of everyone and manipulating everyone, because he called her out while he's being tortured. So I don't, again, but it's a thing where it's just like, if that's what's going on, we need more. Like, there's not enough to like make that make sense.
We need more context. We need more backstory to it. And if she is exaggerating, we need to be able to discern, I think, is a very important part of this character. Because if we can't discern if she's exaggerating or if she is indeed telling the full truth, then how do we know her as a character? Like, how do we know the lengths that she's willing to go to be famous, or the lengths she's willing to go to be successful? Because if we understand that she's exaggerating, which could very well be a possibility, then we have a better idea of like, oh man, like Jocelyn is definitely a little messed up herself. She is definitely fucked up. And maybe that's part of the reason she's drawn to the energy of Tedros. They're two pretty fucked up people that find each other and find each other magnetic. Yeah. And so I could see that playing into it, but I don't know, because we are led to believe that she is not very knowledgeable, not very smart in these situations, not powerful. She is totally downplaying everything. So I think if we were told more information, I think it could have been played a lot smarter in that scene.
Yeah.
You mentioned Xander getting the shock collar. Just brutal, honestly.
So brutal.
unbelievable that I just like shot collar use on people. That's kind of where I draw the line of like, you got to be in rated R like movie territory. I know it's HBO, but like you gotta. That's special. That's for the big screen. That's silver screen stuff.
Yes.
It's not for my computer monitor. So, I mean, it was a lot. It was really intense. And then this episode ends in kind of a penultimate episode fashion where Jocelyn's ex comes over, Rob. Right. They have sex. Xander is put up to the task by Tedros to basically frame Rob. And get him to take a picture with somebody that's at the party, and later in episode 5, then accuse him of rape and basically have his career torn out from under him. And this is where Tedros kind of like gets his nut off, apparently, of like just like really tearing people down. I think the biggest miss for me is the shift in Jocelyn's point of view with Tedros. Right. When she finds out that Diane, which we haven't talked about, is a pretty minor part of the show, Diane was basically used to pull Jocelyn to the club, and Tedros then just happened to have sex with Jocelyn, even though he was with Diane. Right. That's where Jocelyn like switches teams, apparently, like, right, and like calls Rob and is like, "I'm done with Tedros." I can understand that. It's not very clear that is like a switching point for Jocelyn in my point of view. And it comes very abruptly in episode 5. And it seemed really rushed.
It did seem rushed. It did happen really quickly. I did like, it was the turning point though, because of the first couple of episodes where you and I, we've talked, like, it's like back and forth. Like, is she manipulating? Is she not? Is she going along with him, or is she in control? And so I think that scene with Diane, we see the switch immediately, and we know, okay, she's in the driver's seat now. She is no longer being eaten out in the back seat. She is behind the wheel. She is in control of this car right now. So it did happen fast, but I kind of like that. Once it did happen, then it felt like, okay, now I kind of, it's coming together a little bit more for me, where it's just like she's not as dumb as I thought.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. I guess maybe from my point of view, like I didn't want that to happen. Like I was just far more interested in like Tedros running a cult, I guess, like out of the two possibilities of like Jocelyn's stardom or Tedros running a cult and possibly going to prison. Like I was far more interested in that. And I think that's part of the reason why I found episode 5 probably the most intriguing out of all the episodes, is because we confront a lot of those ideas of Tedros and like his past and what's coming of that. And so that switch, I was just like, not the story like I was interested in, like good for Joss, but not for me. So episode 5, Jocelyn forever, telling Tedros to leave the studio, just like hardcore, get the fuck out of my studio. Good for you. I don't care. Like leave. Did you like this power switch from Jocelyn? Did you like how she was kind of talking to Tedros?
I did like it a little bit more on the second viewing. And I noticed that I think my favorite part is the morning after. He's just like distressed. He is upset. And he's smoking her little Capri.
I know.
Virginia Slim 6, just like worried and like, oh, Jocelyn's gonna break up with me. It's just like the skinny little 6. Like that's my favorite part.
It's so ridiculous.
His hair. He's no more rat tail. The rat tail is gone. He's no time to braid his hair when his relationship's falling apart.
Dude's preoccupied on so many levels. Can't care about the rat tail. I think it was pretty harsh. And didn't like I said, didn't really work for me, but I did enjoy seeing Tedros, AKA the Weeknd, just really getting torn apart on screen, just really getting laid into. Finkelstein and company meets Tedros' crew, and we get the show. This is just some elite stuff from Eli Roth. Just busting out the fucking one-liners of like, Kanye was great until he decided to follow Adolf Hitler, and like just busting out crazy shit. And also like Tedros tries to get a girl to be like, meet me upstairs and like come over for a good time, and he's like. She's like, are you sure you want water? He's like, it's 1 p.m. in the afternoon. I'm good with water. I was like, that's my guy.
I mean, is there anyone that can deliver a better line than Eli Roth?
No, not at all.
And I just love how like, who can we cast to show what pieces of shit assholes are running Hollywood and the music scene? I've got the guy.
I know who to call.
I know who to call. And he killed it.
He did. He crushed it.
Can you imagine any other work setting where you're just like, I have to go change my shorts?
Dude's like, I wish I brought another pair of shorts. I thought that was he was throwing 101 in this episode. Like he was by far and away the best part. He was having a little fun at Nikki's expense of like, dusting off some cobwebs over there when Isaac was dry humping Nikki, which is pretty funny. I like his crew.
Who wouldn't want to be dry humped by Isaac, though? I mean, it's a little unfair to give her so much shit because we all would want to be in that position.
I know she liked it, so I think we're all in agreement on that one. I like this, and I think it's interesting too. Like, again, you just get a really good dynamic of Finkelstein and company. Like you get Haim and Destiny having like their kind of subplot. You get Nikki with Tedros like having a subplot with him, which another little wrinkle that I don't think works at all, but I think is very interesting of like, is she trying to use Tedros to get to the talent? Like what's her plan? And all of that, because we've seen Nikki can wheel and deal and has no problem busting balls with people. And like, then
these people carry guns.
Dude, all Haim's got to do is be like gun, and Destiny checks if it's loaded and then hands it to him. True, bro. Honestly,
ready for anything.
And so I think we get some interesting stuff. Again, I'll stand by the fact that like I would much rather have like a show titled, what Magistrate Records, and we could get a show about that. Little Red Riding's story by Haim.
Right.
Incredible stuff. And as soon as that ended, I was like, this is the best. That was the single best part of the show.
Okay. I love it. You're calling it.
Yeah. That's it. I'm calling it a couple early. That was my true cinema moment of the whole show because like Hank Azaria is so funny in this role, and he's so he's great in this role, to be honest. Like I think it just fits him really well. And when he tells that story to Tedros, it's just like it did somewhat feel like a sweet moment where you're just like, cool. Tedros had it coming. It was coming to him. And now we're hearing Haim literally describe the fact that like he's going to cut Tedros open from the outside and then drop rocks in him and just like fuck him up. And, even better, like under the guise of like, I told that to my 5-year-old daughter and she asked if I was scared and I was like, no, because I'm the hunter. And I was just like, let's fucking go. I thought it was great.
I love it. And the whole like showcase scene with everyone in the same room, there's so much happening at the same time, all on top of each other. Really interesting to watch. But it leading into the scene with Haim and talking about Little Red Riding Hood, it shows how everyone there thinks they're the one in charge.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like we see, they are not.
Yeah, which is an interesting point to call out because even in this situation, Finkelstein is not in charge. It's Jocelyn who ends up having the power over him and making him beg for a different pair of shorts. And so I think that is interesting. I do, like I said, I guess I just think the idea and the theory of this is better than the execution of it all.
Yes. Yes.
2 more things to call out. Leah leaves a note for Joss on the bed. She packs her bags and goes. What did the note say? Because that's the last time we see Leah. What do you think it said?
I don't know. The whole time, Leah is all of us. She's the only one that sees how
Leah
fucked up all of this shit is and is willing to call it out. She's worried about the teak wood.
Oh my God. It's teak. It can stain, She's like, there's parties every night. And I'm just trying to keep it together.
Yeah, she is all of us. So without her in that world, it really just kind of turns to shit because she's the only one that can see how depraved and diabolical everyone is.
Yeah. I'm curious if in that letter she comes truthful to Joss and is like, Tedros is a piece of shit. You made a really bad decision. You've lost a friend because of it. Or if she, more sugarcoats and is just like, look, this isn't for me anymore. Like, I wish you the best in your industry, like career, like whatever the case is. Then we get hit. Go ahead.
Well, maybe Leia recognizes Joss for being the manipulator. And
interesting.
Maybe she's just like, I don't want to be part of your power play games anymore.
Yeah.
Like, take it, all the best. I'll go start my own makeup line somewhere else.
God, R.I.P. her makeup line. God, I wanted it to work so bad for her. I was like, you deserve this, girl. And
I know.
She really is all of us. Like, let's be honest. She's our connection point. The last thing here, we get the 6 weeks later. Vanity Fair article has come out, which, by the way, the actress who plays that
journalist.
that journalist is incredible. Harry Neff. She's supposed to be in Barbie as well, which I'm very excited for.
Yes.
She is so good in this role, and like I just love that. I thought it was great. She didn't get nearly enough screen time.
No.
But the article comes out, crushes Tedros. He loses his club. Then we get several minutes of like Haim and company just shitting on Tedros and just like we ripped him a new asshole and like he's dead and we finally got him away from us. I don't know what option B was that Haim was like, oh cool, like we get option B in the car, right? And he's like, because Tedros ripped up the $500,000 check and was like, Jocelyn costs a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, cool, like we get to do option B and I like option B a lot better.
I thought he was dead.
Yeah, I thought either he offed him and like took Destiny's advice, or I guess in this case it was calling the Vanity Fair reporter and was like, turn your story to Tedros, don't make it about Joss, right? Joss invites him backstage prior to the show. We get that like winking nod of maybe all this traumatic story is made up. She says that he is the love of her life on stage and makes out with him, and Finkelstein and co. are losing their goddamn minds.
Right.
And that's pretty much how it ends. And like in the behind the scenes, right, we find out, Jocelyn used him and was in control the whole time. And like, that's really where the power play was. I thought it was abhorrent. I thought it was very terrible. It just did not work on any single level for me.
It was a failure. I see. This is the thing, though. If it was in the hands of somebody else, would I still feel this way? And I don't know, because I do think the bones are there to make for an interesting story. Like, I love the shift of power in such a big way. Because like he's stripped of everything. He's at his rock bottom. He has no money, no club, no future. Like he's blacklisted. His real name and his fake name
are gone.
He needs a new double first and last name. He can't be Tedros anymore.
Tedros. So let me ask you then, this very last play that Jocelyn does, this power play of like, go stand over there, go stand in the corner.
I love it.
I like the power play. I like the idea. I get it. What benefit does Jocelyn now get out of Tedros? Is it purely a power situation where she's like, cool, I can boss somebody around? Or like, is there more that I'm missing that she's getting out of this?
Okay. When she delivers that line, is like, go stand over there. He says something similar to her when he's torturing Xander. When Xander has the shock collar on, he pulls her in. He's like, you just tell me when he's lying. Now go sit over there. And so I do like, we get to see the other side of that where she's in charge. But the other thing, so we've talked about it a little bit where he tells everyone that they're a star. Everyone around her keeps telling her that she's human. Like, she's grieving this loss of her mom. She's having these really like emotional moments, these highs and lows, and people are just like, you're human. You're having a human moment. And Tedros is the only person that's telling her that she's a star. And that's what she wants to be. She wants to be otherworldly. She wants to be, and I mean, what did they say? She was talking about space and aliens and shit. That's where she wants to be. She's not of this world. And so I think that is the draw for her also, is that he's the only one that like kind of recognizes that in her.
Yeah. Interesting. I see it. Didn't materialize for me, but I see it. So I said my true cinema moment. It's the Little Red Riding Hood story by Haim. What's your true cinema moment for the whole season of The Idol? I really had to scrounge for mine, to be honest. Like, it was not even, it wasn't like, gosh, I have to pick between so many. It was like, there's only one in my books. Like, it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's a tough show to pick a true cinema moment for. It
is really tough. Mine probably is when they're the family song around the piano.
Yeah, that's good.
Post fuck fest.
Post fuck fest, pre second fuck fest.
All right. Well, and this girl also, like, she has lost her mom. She doesn't have family, and so I think that's probably something else that Tedros offers. Like, he's kind of given her this crew, this support system. So I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's do our A1 acts. We've kind of broke down The Idol. We've got 2 A1 acts to do. We're going to start with 1 season TV shows because this is now officially a 1 season TV show. HBO has come out and said, at least as far as we know right now, there is no plans for a second season. I don't even know how, like, what they would do for a second season. Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, if there's a second season, I guess we're focused on you know, the flip side, right? Joss and power of Tedros and figuring out how that impacts her career. Maybe that could be interesting. But as of now, this is a 1 season TV show. So I've got a short list here of shows that only existed for 1 single season. Feel free to pull a Ben, you know, go off list, do whatever you want to do. I don't know how prepped you are, but we'll run through this list. Okay, so we've got the very popular Freaks and Geeks, My So-Called Life, Firefly, Undeclared, Flash Forward, Almost Human, Selfie, The Grinder, The Get Down, Everything Sucks, Sharp Objects, Watchmen, another HBO show, I believe.
So good.
Normal People, which I just started the other day and is so fantastic. High Fidelity, The Queen's Gambit, Devs, Mar of Easttown, and The Society. Those are the very, very popular ones that I found out there in the world. Ashley, what are you going to pick for your A1 act?
All right, I'm not going to pull a Ben. I think you've compiled an excellent list, and I can't
I've never heard that before on this show, and that feels so good. It feels so good to be told I did a good job.
Yeah, there's so many good ones. I mean, Freaks and Geeks is probably like my ultimate favorite, but Flash Forward is an old Disney Channel show that I'd completely forgotten about.
Okay.
With Ben Foster. Isn't it? Yeah, he plays one of those like zany, kooky kids, sort of like a la Even Stevens, but he's so
Love
good.
Even Stevens.
But I think out of this list, and because, you know, our girl Destiny, I'm going to choose High Fidelity.
Great call.
With Zoe Kravitz, so good. The ensemble cast, incredible. It should have been more.
I've heard it's very, very good. Yeah. I'm glad you chose that, and I'm even more glad that you said I put together a good list. That's so meaningful. I'm actually going to pull a Ben, and I figured I'd replace him this week in his shoes. I'm going to go with a show. It is technically a mini series put out by Netflix, so it was designed to be 1 season, but it still qualifies because it literally was only 1 season. It's called Maniac, and if you, I don't think a lot of people have watched it or heard about it. It came out in 2018. I will read the tagline. Jonah Hill, Emma Stone. I will read the tagline very quickly. It says, two strangers are drawn to a mysterious pharmaceutical trial for a drug that they're assured will, with no complications or side effects whatsoever, permanently solve all of their problems. Things do not go as planned. Very fascinating show that, like, every single episode is a different reality. And so in this age of like alternate timelines and realities and all of these movies tackling this, I highly recommend Maniac. I have not checked to see if it's still on Netflix with the, you know, the digital purges that we've been having of late. But if it is, I think it's only like 5 or 6 episodes, and it is just phenomenal. I love it. I think it's great. Highly recommend. Musicians as actors. Obviously, we've got The Weeknd as Tedros.
Right.
Probably not going to be our pick for this one. I'm going to be honest with you. Probably not going to be our pick. There's a lot of really good musicians turned actors and actresses. The list is quite long. I will quickly blow through all of these. If you're listening, you can try to keep up with me and figure out maybe what they would have starred in, or, you know, the music they made prior. Bette Midler, Bing Crosby, Elvis Presley. We're starting off with the heavy hitters, sir. Chris Christopherson, Madonna, Cher, Beyonce, Barbra Streisand, Dolly Parton, Mandy Moore, Lady Gaga, Frank Sinatra, Queen Latifah, Mark Wahlberg, Jennifer Lopez, Harry Connick Jr., Ice Cube, David Bowie, Jennifer Hudson, Ice-T, Ludacris, Will Smith, Mariah Carey, Tim McGraw, Harry Styles. Okay. He's an actor. Idris Elba, which apparently he was a DJ in London named Big Driss, which is just incredible. Okay. I wanted to put that on the list just for that reason. Rihanna and Justin Timberlake, who stars in a great movie shot by Roger Deakins, actually, called In Time. If you haven't seen it, great movie. Oh, In Time is very good.
Amanda Seyfried?
Amanda Seyfried, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Where like their clock is like time. That's their money. And so like when their clock on their wrist expires, they die. And there's a very important scene in that movie where they gamble and he gambles all of his time left and he fucking wins, and it's incredible. Great movie. Okay. Like I said, some really heavy hitters on this list. Obviously, Elvis Presley, Dolly Parton, huge people. I am gonna go. Gosh, Idris Elba is hard not to go with because his name was Big Driss, and like he's a wonderful actor. I would go with Mark Wahlberg, as listeners of the pod know. You probably know, Ashley. Any chance that I can pick Boogie Nights, it's gonna happen. Boogie Nights would not have happened without Mark Wahlberg. Dirk Diggler would not exist. So that's like my heart pick, but I also want to throw Lady Gaga in the ring because I think she's great. I'm personally excited for Joker 2. Where do you land on Joker, Ashley?
I have not seen it.
Oh my God. You haven't seen it?
It doesn't.
I know you probably get spoon-fed anti-Joker propaganda on the daily from Ben.
It's just like, it just seems like it's not for me, I think, maybe.
That's fair. Look, that's fair. I respect that. It's easier to hear than Ben shitting on it. So I'm
not the target audience. So it's like, I don't know. But honestly, getting Lady Gaga in the mix is just like, shit, do I need to watch this now? Like,
got to. Joker 2, it's coming. Who are you going to go with? Who are you picking for your A1 act?
Again, you've got a really good list here. I don't see LL Cool J.
Great call. I did leave LL Cool J off the list. You're pulling a Ben.
Deep Blue Sea is really incredible, but like it's so hard. Cher, have you seen The Mask? Her performance. Oh,
wow.
Sam Elliott is there. It's a great movie, and I don't know if she won an Oscar for it, but I feel like she may have even been nominated.
Okay.
A classic, but honestly, I didn't know how you felt about Mark Wahlberg, but that was going to be my pick because
love it.
Again, this movie or The Idol gave me like flavors of Fear, which is one of my favorite thrillers of the 90s. Favorite thriller ever, maybe. So good. Rockstar, which is I got a taste of Rockstar in The Idol a little bit too. So I think I got to pick Mark Wahlberg.
I love it. We're agreed upon. This is incredible. I gotta have you on the pod every week. I feel so good. This is incredible. Marky Mark, good stuff. Okay, A24 ranking for The Idol. Ben and I ranked the very first episode. I believe that Ben gave it an F. I gave it a D-, I think.
Okay. All right.
What is going to be your A24 ranking for The Idol? You can plus minus. You got A through F. Whatever you want to do.
Well, let's see. Because of all the egregious sex scenes, I feel like I should be somewhere in the D, but I'm going to like bump it up to a C- because I do think that there are bones there that could have made the potential, I guess, the potential of what it could have been would maybe make me rank it to a C-, but I don't know.
You gonna live with that? You're okay with
generous.
That going out on social media?
That feels generous. Oh God, I don't know.
You're the new Cinescore right here. This is the Ashley Hutchins score.
Okay. Yeah.
C-. Yeah.
C-.
Stick with it. I respect that. You gotta stick to your guns. Okay. I like that a lot, and that's very cool. I am going to I'm gonna take a hard F24 on this one for me. I very much like you. I think there's bones there. I think there's ideas there. I think there's some really fun stuff with Chloe and Destiny and Haim and the supporting actors. And I like that side. The show just doesn't work pretty much on any level for me. It is exceptionally gratuitous when it comes to sex scenes that really hold very, very minimal value in terms of character development. I thought Lily Rose Depp was good. I guess like just in the circumstances, it's hard for me to pluck her out and be like, she was phenomenal in this really dog shit show. Like that's hard for me. The Weeknd is a bad actor. He needs to figure out how to say carte blanche. And like, I don't know. There just like wasn't enough good things to really outweigh it. I would not recommend, spending 5 hours to watch The Idol. That's a personal preference. Again, like you could watch a couple really, really good movies, a couple 5-star bangers instead of The Idol.
Yeah.
And I think it's a miss for A24, but again, I do think that it bolsters their kind of business library, if you will.
Sure.
Like A24 is still the bad girl. They're still like the bad boy, the bad girl of
world-class center.
Yeah, they're the world-class center of the distribution industry.
They're a freak. Yeah.
They're a freak. Yes, they are. Love A24. Love it so much. Do you have any other thoughts on The Idol? Any closing ideas, thoughts, anything you want to say? Your time on the pod is your time to shine, Ashley.
Well, you're making me reconsider my rating. I feel like
No, it's been engraved. You can't change it.
Here, the thing, okay, the support cast, let's they bumped it up for me as well.
That's fair.
I have a question, Ethan. Have you ever seen Showgirls?
No, I haven't seen Showgirls. It's on my list, but it's on my watch list.
Well, if you hated this much, I don't know if you would like Showgirls. But
oh no!
But I think that's also probably where my appreciation for this comes from. Like, it's not good, but there's still something that, again, it's like the junk food. It's like the double. It's just like, oh, this is gross. I don't like this. Why am I here? But like, there's still some kind of draw.
There's still something there. Yeah, it's like a car crash. You just can't look away. I get it. Okay. Respect. I appreciate that. Ashley, thanks for coming on the pod. Thanks for filling in Ben's place. I know Ben just couldn't even stomach it to talk about this. He could barely stomach it to talk about it last time we talked about it. So there was no way he was coming on for round 2. He just berated me in text messages constantly of like, I can't believe you're making me watch The Idol. I can't believe I'm doing this for the pod. I can't believe the shit you make me do for the show. So maybe, you and Ben and listeners might be happy to hear next week on the pod, we're talking a change in speed. We're talking about Kelly Reichardt's newest film, Showing Up. Michelle Williams, Hong Chow, very exciting stuff. We covered First Cow a while back, which Ben and I both had a pretty good time with. So another Kelly Reichardt. Then the week after that, it's episode 100, the triple digit, the first one.
Oh,
big celebration. That's going to be fun stuff. Can't say what it is quite yet. Going to be a lot of fun. It won't just be me and Ben. It'll be some other people too. So it'll be pretty exciting.
Stay tuned for that for sure.
Yeah, stay tuned. So big celebration for episode 100. Kelly Reichardt showing up next week. And now we never have to talk about The Idol again. So we all win. It's a big win. You don't win as much, I guess, but I win. I feel
Finito.
good. What are your thoughts on The Idol? Let us know on Twitter or Instagram. We are at 24 minutes of A24. At least until, Twitter disintegrates. And then maybe we'll be on Threads. Who knows what'll happen in the future. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, where you can actually watch our beautiful faces. You can see Ashley. You can see what Ashley looks like for the very first time on the show. Say hi to everybody on YouTube. And you can watch us break down these movies. This was a blast, Ashley. Thanks for coming on the show.
It was so fun. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Once again, I'm Ashley Hutchins.
And I'm Ethan Simi. Spring break forever, bitches.
Bye, sluts. Sorry, do you get the last word?
See you later, sluts.